Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Today is July 27th, and this is actually the first time we are checking in with you in 2021. We are so excited that you all are here with us. We have made it into another year. Um, 2020 was interesting, but we are here. And again, if you don't know, for those who don't know, I am Whitney Middlebrooks. I am the Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator with the Lexington Housing Authority. And every month we offer workshops and we have informational things to give to you all. Some fun stuff sometimes, but sometimes we got to kind of get into the meat of what's going on in the world, what's going on with our agency, and things that will directly affect the community. And we also have Ms. Sage Chioma. I allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Sage Chioma, and I'm the program coordinator of BOSS Initiative. And as Whitney said, this is our first virtual live seminar or series. We're starting for 2021, moving forward with new norms. And so we are here again. And it's amazing because when we started, these were in person. None of us expected to be living in a pandemic as long as we have been. So one of the main new norms is that we have a virtual reality.
Yeah, this topic. I'm gonna mute you real quick, Miss Sage, because there's a bad echo. Okay. All right. So the topic today is discussing new norms and our new normals. As you know, as Ms. Sage missing, and all you know, you see it on the news every day. We are in a different world in a sense of what's going on, how we have to operate. It does stress me out too, of having to wear masks, having to social distance, having to do certain things to keep us safe from a virus that has, again, this is almost going on into a year at this point. So we got to figure out, how do we function through that? Like, what do we need to do? What do we need to be aware of? I know that we're flooded with things on the news about what it is, what are the new updates, what's going on, how do we operate? But this affects everyone. So I know a lot of people that participate monthly in our workshops are like, well, we want to meet in person. Well, we can't. So unfortunately, this will be our new norm for a while until we get that lifted from the state. As of now, I do not see that happening anytime soon. So we have to be realistic. A lot of our programs are all going to be virtual. And I'm just going to put this out here in terms of our agency. We're going to be doing a lot more paperless. Everything's going to be digital signing. So we all are going to have to get used to that. So it won't be coming up to the office. They're going to be more phone appointments. They're going to be more virtual appointments via Zoom, and we're all working that out through the agency. And of course, we will still send out emails and correspondence about how that will work. Now, we understand it ain't gonna be fun, but again, we're talking about new norms and new normals. We all have to get used to it. So as we do our month-to-month things, we're just trying to think of different ways to make it more interactive. But again, we're limited. So we thank you again for just hanging in there with us as we all figure this out together and work together at getting a pace and getting more comfortable with what this is. And then as soon as they lift off, we got to ease back into the world. So we're hoping to interact more, have more events, but just definitely just be patient with us, show us some grace as well, because as much as it's probably frustrating to you, it's just as frustrating to us because we can't interact with participants and interact with the community as much as we would like to as well. So again, without further ado, we're going to go into basically discussing exactly what I said, the new norms and new normals. For those that may be into the live for the first time, I would like for you to comment and say, hey, this is such and such, just so I know who's all in the chat with us today and in this live. Let me know where you're viewing from, just so I can shout you out. And as you all do that, please keep in mind that we do ask a question at the end of our workshop, just to kind of see if you was listening. And we do offer a free gift card at the end, whoever answers that question. So I'll give those. I see that there are a few people online now. So if you want to just type in a message and say, hey, I can hear you, I see you, I'm over here on YouTube or I'm over here on Facebook, just so we can get a quick check-in. Anything you want to add, Miss Sage, while we wait for a couple seconds?
No, I'll speak before I start the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, go ahead. And Miss Bethany, she is viewing with us on YouTube. Hi, Miss Dana. She is on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in today, Miss Dana. I really do appreciate it. And I'll wait for maybe one or two more people just to introduce themselves. Hi, I have Miss, I think it's Eileen McFall. She said a shout out to my friend Miss Sage on Facebook. So she's on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I have Miss Erica Barrymore. Thank you, Miss Erica, for tuning in today. I'm so glad that you all just take the time to just tune in with us and just kind of chat. So again, this is that new normal thing. We can't like talk to you like in terms, but I'm always, if I see a comment that's relevant, I'll make sure I put it on the screen. If you want to stop us, say like, hey, I don't understand. Or if you want to add your experience of what's going on in this time of COVID season, feel free to do that. And that keeps it interactive for us because we have no problem stopping and, kind of addressing what your concern or question or statement may be. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start this presentation.
Everyone can see my screen. You can see it with me?
Mm-hmm. Put it in full. Put it in full.
It is in full.
Okay.
Okay. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about something that we all have each day come to terms with as a new reality. And so we look at all the new norms that we have to adjust to, as Whitney explained, moving forward in 2021. That's our topic. So I want to just concentrate on North Carolina, and we're going to give you some of the most recent updates for our state, as well as the guidelines that we all know. And then we'll talk a little bit about a campaign that is about educating people and making us aware of the new norms. And it's called Nah, Not a Host. So the young lady out of Durham, that is a campaign. Like we say, nah, you say, I think I would like you to come do this. You say, nah, I'll pass. So it's an awesome campaign to bring light to taking care of each other and taking care of ourselves. I want to also, before I begin the PowerPoint, say that we'll look at the trials, the tribulations, and the triumphs of 2020, because there was a lot of things that COVID brought to the surface, and there was a highlight on things that probably were just boiling just beneath the surface. And they were trials and tribulations for all of us. All of us were discovering that we're all in this together. And during that part, I would hope you participate and type in some things, because it'll just be a little bit of a discussion and a back and forth. So when we look at COVID updates, there are in North Carolina to date 8,500,000 and 8,553 and 507,000 cases of completed tests. That's not cases, that's completed tests. And then currently hospitalized, there are 3,368. Overall, there has been 8,776 deaths. Total cases to date are 727,423. And newly reported cases, the number is 3,978. And so 13.3% daily percent of positive test results. I want to say that what wasn't listed here is the 718,647 total recovered cases. And I think that's important to list. So I made sure I put that number there, because there are recovered cases and we need to focus on that as part of the triumph. Those who actually made it through, who tested positive, are still here with us. Of course, the CDC guidelines are wear, wait, and wash. Also, that's like the three W's, and it's really simple. And it sounds really simple, but it became a huge issue. Just something as simple as wearing a mask to protect not just yourself, but others. Waiting 6 feet apart and washing our hands often. And washing down things after you come from the supermarket or wherever, washing down things in your car and entering your home. I think I got a little less fanatical, but at first I was taking off clothes as soon as I came back in. And, we all want to be vigilant. We don't want to be fanatical, but we want to be vigilant. Also, when it comes to symptoms, there are a lot of symptoms that you might ignore, especially if you have a sinus condition or if you have anything. So some of the guidelines, I had a screen for this, but we changed it at the last minute. But some of the guidelines are, of course, some people may have a symptom as simple as just losing their taste and their ability to smell, and that be it for them. Other people will have that as well as fever, chills, diarrhea. Some people have extreme fatigue and body ache. You may have not all of these, you may have just one or two of these, but if it is severe and you find that a person has respiratory problems in which they cannot breathe because we know that it attacks the lungs, then that person may need to be hospitalized. A lot of people are simply quarantined. I took a test and I was quarantined waiting for that test for like the result for almost 3 weeks. And I'm thankful that it was negative because in 3 weeks, I mean, I could have went out and infected other people if, it was just that. But the test results, we have rapid tests now and it has improved. So this is Mandy Cohen. She is actually the secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services here in North Carolina. And so when we look at updates, the big news is, of course, the vaccines. So, Whitney, can you play that clip for me?
One second. Bear with me 1 second.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mandy Cohen, Secretary of North Carolina's Department of Health and Hi, I'm Dr. Mandy Cohen, Secretary of North Carolina's Department of Health and Human Services. And there's good news on the fight against COVID-19. Tested, safe, and effective vaccines are now available for long-term care workers and residents. You'll be able to take your best shot against COVID to protect you, your loved ones, and those you care for. Tested safe on thousands of volunteers, they're effective at protecting you from getting COVID. They have minimal side effects, just temporary reactions like swelling on your arm or being tired for a day or two. Here's your spot for finding out more about vaccines and why you should take your shot to win against COVID.
COVID-19 vaccine plan for North Carolina is, first of all, I want to say that
Sorry about that.
I want to say that rollout plan, of course, is about healthcare workers and long-term care staff and residents, older adults. And we do know that the goal is to vaccinate as many people as quickly as possible. However, that may not be enough. So if you are somebody who is waiting, just know that it's happened in other states, not just North Carolina. So North Carolina moves through vaccination groups by aligning to the federal guidelines uh, and empowering the local health departments. So we'll see how this rolls out. This is the ideal, and that is phase 1A for healthcare workers fighting COVID-19 and long-term care staff and residents. Phase 1B, which is our current phase, is adults like 75 years of age and older and frontline essential workers. And then there is phase 2, which we are not at yet, but adults at high risk for exposure and at increased risk due to severe illness, because we do know that pre-existing disorders or pre-existing conditions actually will make a person's risk for fatality even greater. So ultimately it says students. Please be clear when I say students, that's college students who are young adults, because there is no research for how it will impact adolescents and children. So those are not the students I'm talking about. I think that they are trying to work with getting a group of people, volunteers, as adolescents. There is research that has already begun for people who have immune deficiencies or compromised immune systems, but that research is not complete and not done. And so phase 4 would be everyone who wants a safe and effective COVID-19 vaccination.
So before, I just want to know, to make it interactive and to get other people's perspective and feelings. What are your feelings about the vaccine? I know that there's a lot of different views via social media, how people feel about it. Like, what are you actually feeling right now as it relates to the vaccine? Are you going to get it? Do you want it? Are you afraid? And as you think about that, and I do want you to just share your thoughts. I'll share mine. I'm side-eyed it, and I have to be transparent about it. I don't want it to make it seem like, I'm just trying to say the right thing. I think it's a natural thing to feel maybe a little fearful, maybe a question it, like, is this going to be good for me? What's going to happen? Are the videos that I saw online, are they all real? Is this all people just trying to scare you away from getting it? So tell me what your feelings are as it relates to the vaccination, and if it maybe becomes mandatory, or what do you feel about that? I just want to know some thoughts, and so we can get some conversation going on in the room. Do you want to share your thoughts, Miss Sage? Unmute yourself.
I am. Basically, I am kind of looking at trials, tribulations, and triumphs as the space for discussion, only because I want to just like hand this information in a non-biased way. Basically, as a public health professional, what I might feel personally is still an obligation because of being a community health educator, that what I feel personally is not as relevant as the facts.
Yeah.
And what I want and what my obligation is to make sure I provide information or lead people to resources and information, because what's really important is everyone has the right to make an informed decision.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody should make a decision without having done their own research. Like, I can't do the research for you. Whitney can't do the research for you. Even your mama might not be able to do the research for you if you're an adult, right? Yeah. Your preacher man, everybody's gonna have to make their own decision. And so that's why I kind of wanted to lay out the plan, because that's what I know North Carolina is, and all the states are struggling.
Yeah.
Because there was a lull in our response. And what response we did get was not an appropriate response. And so that's why in trials, tribulations, and triumphs, one of the main struggles is that public health professionals need the trust of the public in order to solve any problem. This is a huge one, but I don't care how small it is. If it's a health crisis and you do not have the trust of the public, that right there sets you behind the 8 ball.
I think I can respect that, especially coming from you as a health professional. But I think in discussion, it's always, I think it's good to temper where people are. What are you feeling? Is there a fear? Are you ready for it? Are you going to go ahead and get it when it's your turn? Because in that trial area, we need to be sensitive to what are people feeling? Why are we, against it? Why are some people like, I want to get it now? And I do want to share a response from Ms. Dana Parker. She said she's not going to get it. She said they haven't done enough studies on it based on her opinion. And then I have Ms. Moore who said she's against getting the vaccine because she doesn't want to be a guinea pig. I wonder if, based on the information that Ms. Sage has shared, do you believe that this could maybe make you a little bit more lenient or, open to at some point when it comes to the next phases of it? Just in this small amount of information you learn, do you think you'll be more open to it by the time the vaccine could be available for you?
PowerPoint only because I want to leave time for the discussion.
Yeah.
I want the discussion, when we say trials, there was a huge trial. But for some of us, it wasn't a large enough trial, which is the trial to roll out these vaccines. And we are rolling out the vaccines as what we call an emergency. They're not rolling these vaccines out under ordinary conditions. And so that is why many people feel that way. Most vaccines take 10 years to develop. So I would like to give the discussion the time that it deserves, because I just have like maybe one more clip. And in that way, we'll be able to really, when it comes to trials, tribulations, and triumphs, really have a good, robust dialogue.
Ms. also shared some information, and I also pin this at the end as well, just to come back to it for those who may want to screenshot it. She listed that you can also go text GC19 to 888777, and it can basically give you updates about the vaccine as it progresses over time. So thank you, Ms. McFalls, for sharing that information.
May proceed. And then that way, when we get to trials and tribulations, we'll be able to really flush that out. Because for some people, it's a triumph. And for others, it's like, this is, I don't want to be a guinea pig. I don't want to be a part of the trial study. So that really is relevant.
All right. So go ahead and share your screen.
And if you may, this is Dr. Bobby Banks. And Dr. Bobby Banks is a public health professional out of the Durham Raleigh area who came up with a campaign that is just about preventing the spread. Because for some of us, that's the best we can do, is to do our part to prevent the spread. So if you'll play that clip, Whitney.
Okay.
Sharing our newest effort with you, not the truth. I don't know about you, but over the course of this pandemic, not only have I been very tired, exhausted, frustrated, lost.
Give me a second. Can you all see that video?
We can't see the video, but I can hear her, which is why I put her picture back up.
Bear with me 1 second, man. Hold on. I'm trying to see why it didn't come up. I want you to be able to see it. Hang tight.
I can always bring the video.
Give me 1 second. I got it. Hold on. Let's see.
Well, can you share while I'm sharing? Is that it?
I'm about to. Just 1 second. Let's see. Trying to figure out.
I can always bring up the video while you play the audio.
Hold on. I got it. Can you see it on the screen?
I can't see it. Maybe they can. I'm looking at my screen.
Can y'all let me know on this YouTube screen? If somebody can say yes, just to let me know. But it should be different. Okay, they can see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
Dr. Bobby Blake, CEO of Pillar Consulting, sharing our newest effort with you, not a host. I don't know about you, but over the course of this pandemic, not only have I been very tired, exhausted, frustrated, I've also been a little confused. There are a lot of different messages everywhere, social media, TV, radio, and even as someone trained in public health, epidemiology, understanding communities, I thought there was a lot of information for everyday people to understand. So I met with a couple of my friends and colleagues and said there has to be a way to package all of this prevention messaging, all these calls to action in a culturally relevant, engaging way. And that became Not a Host. This campaign consists of 4 foundational pillars. There's a lot we don't know about this virus. That's how science works. It's going to take time for people fully understanding how it works. We don't know that, but what we do know is that we don't want you to have it. And so you'll see a lot of prevention messages going around the web, but the most fundamental ones are to wash your hands, keep them clean. We tend to do this with our hands all of the time. Wear your mask, make sure your nose, your mouth are both covered. You're not breathing on other people, and make sure that you're standing 6 feet away from other people. This is what we know lowers your risk of contracting COVID. So what do we mean by host? Great question. I want you to think of host in 2 different ways. One of them is the person that sends you the text, the email, the phone call that says, hey, come through, I'm putting some meat on the grill. Can y'all bring sides, bring ice, bring some drinks? That person is hosting an event. We all know that person. In fact, we might be that person. Either way, we love you. But just know that we are in the midst of a global pandemic, and if you can hold off on hosting events, we ask that you do that to lower not only your risk, but the risk of your loved ones. That's the host you probably know. This is the host you probably don't know. When scientists say that you can have the coronavirus or COVID-19 in your body and have no symptoms, or they say you're asymptomatic, that means you are hosting the virus, or scientists might call you a vector. That's the host you don't want to be either. So we're asking you to take those preventive measures to lower your risk and not be a host. You'll see that Not a Host spells an acronym, NAH. We say that all the time. Nah, I'm not coming through. Y'all handle that. Or nah, I'll see y'all in 2021. We also want to build a community to recognize, to celebrate, to honor the people who wake up every day and make sure that we have everything that we need. The gas in our gas tanks, the food in our pantries, the teachers teaching our children. We want to create a space in which you are able to celebrate people in your community, wherever you live. Your mom, your brother, your aunt, your neighbor, the community advocate, helping donate masks in the community. We'll highlight these individuals over the course of the year. The last part of the campaign is really creating opportunities for people to engage with one another, to share ideas about what you can do in the pandemic. Because what we do know in the real world, whether you are a psychologist or an expert in public health or an expert in parenting, you know if you tell people not to do something, that you have to provide alternatives for that behavior. Right now, people are hearing a lot of don't, or can't. And that's very important because we need you to reduce your risk of contracting or spreading COVID. But we also want to provide a community in which we provide activities that say, hey, you can do this. And part of this campaign is called Keep It Right. If you live at home alone, think of creative ways to still engage with your friends and your family virtually. It's not going to be the same as happy hour. It's not going to be the same as game night, but it's enough, hopefully, engagement to get you through the pandemic. The second part is keep it simple. If you're at home with your immediate family or what the community, public health and medicine are calling pods, keep it simple. If you want to go for a walk, you can do that. Just make sure you're still socially distanced. Carry a mask with you just in case you come in contact with someone who's a little closer than they need to be. If you want to go fishing, go fishing. If you want to read a book, go read a book. So part of this community is to keep everyone engaged, to finding ways to make sure that we are all physically well, emotionally well, mentally well over the course of this pandemic.
That was a great video.
It was very informative. And so that's the campaign. Nah, let's sit this one out. And so Dr. Bobby Banks said something about host. You know, in public health, there are tools that they use, and a morbidity rate of a group of people or population and the birth rates, you could go back as far in history as you want. And if you have those numbers, you could almost tell how the people lived and exactly what their social participation or interaction was with one another. Another thing is very basic. There's the host, the agent, and the environment. That's a basic tool. And so she talked about the host that you don't want to be. There's two types. And one, you don't want to be the host who actually houses or is the host of the virus. You also don't want to be that host that says, oh, I'm only going to have 10 people over, when it doesn't take 10 people to actually spread this. All it takes is one person. So she put that in there, and I think that's relevant information. She also talked about respecting the people. If we're wearing masks, when we go to the grocery store, people who are earning a living, working in Walmart, you know, all of those people keep our daily lives moving. So it's really important that we not think just about ourselves, but the fact that there are frontline workers. And when we go to the hospital, those people who are caring for us are risking their lives to help us. And so 2020 trials, tribulations, and triumphs, I want to just say, and I'll let Whitney take it, and we'll, you know, go back and forth with you guys with some of your comments. If you would like to talk about vaccine hesitancy all day long, me and Whitney will make a space for that. Won't we, Whitney?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because that, I think, as just people, Black people and indigenous, you know, Black indigenous people of color, we deserve not to squeeze that into like a 10-minute conversation, because it is about making an informed decision. And it is about unpacking some of the reasons why people who know about Tuskegee experiment, and then there are those who know that that was just the tip of the iceberg. Tuskegee experiment is just what most Americans know about in regards to this built-in distrust for the healthcare system when it comes to Black indigenous people of color. So you can put that in the chat, you know, about that being a trial. It's trying all of us to say, what if it's mandated? What if I lose my job? If I don't, what, you know, all the what ifs. The tribulations that we encountered was everything from civil unrest, racial injustice, to actually just all of us being traumatized globally by grief. And some of the triumphs are actually those of us who are still standing get to determine what contribution we're going to make moving forward. That's just for me, because I lost 2 relatives in New York to COVID. And I was one of the people who did have 2 18-month-old twins test positive for COVID in Alabama. And they survived, and it wasn't asymptomatic. They had symptoms, and their mother caring for them also, because she had to care for them, was positive. So, Whitney,
The next video.
well, you don't have to play the next video. I want to hear from them. This is the space.
So,
Yeah.
I have a comment from Mrs. Ely watching on YouTube. She asked, "Do you think the vaccine? How safe do you think the vaccine is?" I mean, that's kind of a very we don't. I mean, I'll let you answer that if you.
Well, what I'm around a lot of people, a lot of epidemiologists. I actually have to, do a lot of trainings. And so what they're saying is that the vaccine is built on years of research that was used for something else. So although it appears that they did it in a small window, they actually have been researching this particular, I think it's like, instead of DNA, it's the other thing. I asked one of my friends, she's a neuroscientist. I wish she would have got on so she could answer some of these in the chat, but I don't think she joined us. But they've been doing this research for a long time. Now this research is being put to use for the vaccinations, which is why it seems so quick. The vaccinations, I feel that there was not enough research as far as the vast population. For instance, pregnant women, they could not participate. It would be somewhat unethical, so they couldn't, children, they weren't a part of the study. Also, somebody who might have a lot of pre-existing conditions and have a lot of medications were not a part of the study. So I will say that because they have permission to do this for the emergency, we're talking 400,000 people who have died. Those are the numbers, and that is the reason that people even volunteered. One woman was a doctor and said she volunteered for the study because she lost her father. And she was a doctor and couldn't even be there with him when he was passing. And to honor him, she was one of the participants because they couldn't get people of color to just volunteer. That was very hard for them to get people of color to participate. So we will see how safe it is based on the fact that it's still being rolled out. And ask people who have gotten it personally that you know about their symptoms and how they felt, because that's what I do.
Thank you for that. I also have another comment on our Facebook page from Miss Spencer. She said that was filmed in 2020 because she said it was in see you in 2021. And she was basically a statement saying, but the way things are looking, we're going to be saying nah into 2022. I think the way things are going, I don't foresee us just the world opening back up in 2 months. I just don't. So that could be some truth to that. Brandy, thanks for adding your comment on that. But I personally think that we will probably be in some type of social distancing and, operating in safe spaces for a while, perhaps a good part of 2021. Another from our YouTube page. They said, what about building your immune system? No one is addressing this topic. This needs to be discussed because this is the true second line of defense. You are what you eat. And I would definitely like to comment on that. I believe that is 100% true. Even though I'm just as guilty as not eating right and not doing the best things health-wise. But I do believe that. I do believe that perhaps if we, have a better diet and we start to take more vitamins, starting getting more natural nutrients in us, I do think that will help boost our immune system. I have done my own research. I'm not saying that it's been is true or some facts, but based on getting some ginger in your system, turmeric, lots of vitamin C, A, and D, as well as elderberry. I just personally just had a drop off the other day. I know I have a vendor who sells elderberry in shots, and she sent them to me, and I said, I really want to boost my immune system just due to some of my exposure to potential COVID. So I said, let me start boosting it up. But I agree. I definitely think that we do have to do better what we eat. And I also saw a video yesterday where the girl was encouraging people just to boost your vitamins up right now. If you were taking them before, maybe even double it, because it's not really going to hurt you. Just start to get some of that nutrients and more natural ingredients to kind of help naturally fight off the viruses. And yes, Erica, definitely sea moss. That was one of the main things. So your sea moss, your black seed oil, elderberry, ginger, turmeric, those are all natural things. And of course, do your own research to figure out what works for you and what consult with your doctor. But a lot of online sources and nutritionists do recommend getting more natural ingredients into your body, especially during this time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Erica, because vitamin D is also essential and people are often deficient in it. And it's one of the recommendations when you start doing supplements to help your immune system. And vitamin D comes from the sun. And let's face it, a lot of people don't spend much time in the sun. And some people have conditions that don't permit them to get the sun that they need. But the sun produces vitamin D for us. So that was really important because it's not even just what we eat, it's the way we live. The way we live in cities, the way we interact with one another. One of the triumphs was not for us so much, but for nature. There were pictures all over the world taken of fish that were not in a particular strain all of a sudden returned because our footprint or thumbprint or whatever was not so prevalent. And there's smog constantly in Los Angeles, and it just disappeared in weeks. So it's also the way we live that's being questioned now. The way that we are living as if the earth is just something there and it's not something we have to live in harmony with. So that's important as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess. I have a comment from Miss Betty. She said, just go old school and take a shot of moonshine. If that works for you, do it. I'm not going to do it, but I mean, a lot of people do have different remedies, old school remedies that help them whatever they're fighting different viruses and colds. But definitely natural ingredients to help try to, fight whatever is going on in our bodies or help try to combat it before it gets to us. Thank you all for your comments on that.
And so when we talk about tribulations also, let's think about mental health, which we'll spend some time on in future virtual learning sessions. I want to say that depression, anxiety, domestic violence, a lot of these things have risen because let's face it, a tribulation is that if you were somebody who went to the gym, if you were somebody who did yoga, a lot of the things that you did for your coping just disappeared. Because for the first 6 months or 3 or 4 months, a lot of those places weren't even open. And even now, you're taking a risk if you go into Planet Fitness. Although that reduces stress, it's still putting you at risk because you never know if you might get it from there. So that was one of the tribulations as well. Whitney, you want to add to that?
I guess in terms of tribulations of I guess it is a good thing that there is a vaccine. That's a good thing about it, that we are seeming to go into a direction of helping, minimize, reduce these cases. So I look at that as not a tribulation, a triumph, I'm sorry. And it looks like they're trying to get into the direction of figuring this thing out, getting us out of this pandemic per se. So I'm really hoping and looking for positive results from the vaccine. So I am And it was something I saw online. I just want to share. It could be a generational thing because I've noticed that much more millennials are like, no, I'm not doing it. A lot of like my dad, baby boomers and things, they're like, I'm getting it, I'm getting it. And it could be a generational thing, and oftentimes how we use communications, how we use social media, how we communicate in general. So I just want to put that out of those people that are very fearful. Do your own research. Don't only listen to what your group chat is saying. Don't only listen to what you maybe saw on YouTube, because some of that information could be absolutely skewed. Maybe go directly to the CDC website. Go directly to the health department's website to actually read what they're actually saying. The lady did mention there was a number you could text. Again, I'll pin it again at the end. So if those again want to screenshot it to be updated. So I just say we all have our own right to feel that fear, hesitant due to, like you said, historical things when it comes to vaccinations. But we do have to come to some type of overall understanding and of way how are we going to deal with this as we move forward. So I think everybody's feelings are valid. That fear is valid, that uncertainty and that I'm going to get it tomorrow, that's valid too. Just know that we're all trying our best we all want to be out of this. And I think that as we move forward, we'll have much more triumphs, definitely in 2021.
Mm-hmm. And so the tribulations that happen also is because COVID sat us still long enough and put most of us, whether we were Black, white, rich, poor, in kind of the same position. And the same position, what I mean by that is our humanity was equal. It doesn't get any more equal than the breath. And so we had to sit and watch the summer of George Floyd. We had to also watch people of all colors rise up and fight for their humanity and what was right, and go out in record numbers, even in the height of COVID. They were so disturbed by the things that COVID kind of flushed out that they said, we want to stand up for what's right. And unprecedented numbers of people, not just here, but across the world, across the globe. And so that was a tribulation that led to a triumph, because on some front, it kind of separated who was who and who was willing to stand for justice. And so that's why I say, please put your name in the chat if you are someone interested in Whitney and I addressing hesitancy vaccinations that I did not put on the calendar. So we would get clearance to see if it's something that we could address, because in that time, we are owed the time to have our questions answered. We have that right. And that's where I stand with it. I think that given the history and what has happened, we need to unpack it and we need to look at why. But what I want you to be mindful of is when all those horrific things happen in history, Black, Indigenous people of color did not have a seat at the table. They did not be one of the scientists who actually worked on the vaccine. They did not have a seat at the table in making policies around that vaccine. And so that is a triumph in and of itself of where we are now. So sometimes we'll let the past predict the future and the past predict our decisions, but we shouldn't do it without having all the information. So please type in if you would, because I think Whitney would be up for the challenge. She's a great researcher. I compliment her every time we're on here. She's just the bomb. Okay, that's all I would say. So if you're interested in that. So we're going to come to a close, and Whitney's going to close this out. But I want to say, as far as triumphs, one of the triumphs is it wasn't all bad, because when I go to the park to walk, I see a lot more parents engaged with their children, and they're playing and they're in nature together. I have a friend that I walk with sometimes, and when we walk, I encourage her to walk in silence with me. She doesn't like that a lot, but once she does it, she likes it. And when we come across a brook or some running water, we just stop and listen. That immediately is like a tranquilizer. It just calms you down. Now, I don't have the running water in the brook and the Zen stuff all in my house. I wish I did. But those are the things that we actually can do. So we can explore and unpack, the triumphs of where we are now compared to where we were when those horrific things happened to Black, Indigenous people of color, and really be honest about it, because I think we're owed that, and this time, a time such as this is the time to do that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Hey, did you want to play the video from the poet?
You could play the video and then close us out. Yes. I hope you can hear her because she's speaking very softly.
In North Carolina. Hello, I'm Jackie Shelton Green, the North Carolina Poet Laureate. Even in times of despair and hopelessness, there is an opportunity to become better as humans and to build stronger communities. Take care of yourselves and each other. Help by following public health protocols. Knowledge is powerful. Learn and know the facts about COVID-19, its risk, and how you can protect yourselves. Social distancing doesn't mean social isolation, but instead it offers a new way of building community. We have survived through many difficult times, and by adhering to the public health practices to prevent the spread and harm that this virus can create, we will make it through this as well, together. For more facts and information about COVID-19, visit www.nc.gov/COVID-19 or call 211.
Website, which you'll be able to go in there and see videos. You also can see where testing sites are. You could also see where the vaccine is being given and the places such as that. But you have to really go in and just tinker around and get to know that site, because a lot of answers are there.
Absolutely. So as we, I just basically wanted to end with, how maybe some of you have not been tested. I know that I recently did have to get tested as to I was potentially exposed to the virus. And when we think about being exposed, we honestly are exposed every single day we walk out the house. As soon as we walk out the door, there is the possibility and the potential of exposure. So I don't want that to be the fear, because if we live in fear, we can't leave the house. This is what this is our norm right now. So for those who are looking for a rapid test, the CVS and Walgreens are offering rapid tests. They are only able to take you if you schedule your appointment online. So understand that you will have to visit the links. If you want, I can put the links also in this chat so that you can click on it easily and get to it. When you are scheduling your test, please know that you need to put in your zip code. It's going to try to find a close site to you, whether you're on CVS website or Walgreens website. It will give you the option to say a rapid test, which will be you can get your results in a couple hours or within 24 hours. If there is no location that is doing them in 24 hours, whatever location you pick, it'll let you know that you'll get your results in 2 to 3 days. So even if you feel like maybe I haven't been around someone who has been, knowingly has COVID, it doesn't hurt to know. We have to know our status just to know where you are. If you, because you could be potentially exposing other people to the virus as well. You could be asymptomatic with no symptoms at all. You can feel wonderful and great and still be positive. And guess what? You can still pass the virus on to your loved ones unknowingly. So I do recommend that this is nothing to scare. This is just to know. Go get tested. It's free. And CVS, just FYI, does not do children under the age of 10, I believe, but Walgreens will. So if your child is under that age and you say, well, I want to know if my child's good, and their pediatrician won't test them, Walgreens will test your child if they are 3 years and up, if I'm not mistaken. But please go. I think it is 3 and up. So just to know your status and make sure you're good to go. So as we wait, you don't want to be stressed out. You don't want to be looking like Kevin Hart. Oh my God, what's my status? Oh my God, I can't think. But while you're waiting for your results, definitely quarantine. Why? Because in that time, you don't know if you're positive. So if you are positive and you don't know that while you wait for your results, just chill at home. Just if you have the opportunity, if you work from home, perhaps go ahead and get in your mind that I'm gonna be quarantining for 14 days. Miss Sage says that her results took almost 30 days, if I'm correct, right? Hold on.
Hold on a second. Yeah, it took 17 days.
17 days. So let's just say if, she wouldn't have known that because her results didn't come back, but she would have been just doing her thing. But I mean, we have to live life, but we can't live in fear, but we have to just live smart, right? Listen to your body, even if you're not having symptoms, as she mentioned before, we won't go into that, but just listen to your body, see what's going on, make sure that you're paying attention to that. And while you wait, though, what can you do? It's a lot of things you can do while we wait. We can relax. You can just use that time. Like, look, I'm going to use this time to chill. I'm going to use this time to get my mind right. Maybe I needed this 14-day break to kind of do what I needed to do. You can exercise. We can always do exercise from home. YouTube has hundreds and thousands of videos of what you can do. You can read a book, as we talked about last month and the month before that. What are our goals? Read a book. Maybe if you like, in terms of relaxing, you can Netflix and chill. Use it as a time with the people that are only in your home. As she mentioned, don't be the host and telling people I'm quarantining, come over, I'm bored. No. You're gonna have to Netflix and chill by yourself or with your child or whoever's already in the home with you. Use this time to journal, use this time to organize. I mentioned last month in terms of a goal, I want to clean up, and I went on a whole cleanup spree. So as I continue to quarantine, with waiting for my results or whatnot, I'm cleaning. I'm still trying to be proactive, but I've relaxed too. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to overextend myself, but I think that you do need to find ways to use this time wisely so that we're not just, let me just call my homegirl up, I'm bored, and tell her to come over. Because again, you need to know your status before you start doing that. And use this time with your families. Again, whoever's in your home currently, sometimes we don't connect. One of our big things with this workshop is connected. So you can still connect with those people in your home if that is a safe space for you. Game night. Use that time as the child is finishing up their virtual learning. Maybe find some ways to say, let's play Uno. Let's play a card game, or let's play something so we can interact, because in life, right, when the world open back up, we're going to be on. We're going to be going fast. So take time to appreciate these moments while we are kind of in the pandemic, while we are, social distancing with the people that we do care about. And again, I just want to end it on just focusing on your goals, making sure that you're thinking about all those things, not every day, because again, that can be draining too, but just use your time wisely while you wait for your results and while we continue to navigate our new norms and the new normal of our life, especially right here in 2021. We do not know how long it's going to last, but we are here. And me and Sage, again, monthly, we at least can try to put a smile on your face as we deal with this during the year. Every month we'll be here for a workshop, a training, and just kind of talking. And we definitely want to get your feedback on what you want to see. As she mentioned, if you all are interested in learning more information about the vaccine and having those questions, we can look to get a professional online to assist us with answering those questions, and based on their expertise. So we want to thank you all for being here and always interacting. I really appreciate the interaction. So before we close up, anybody have any questions, comments, anything like that before Miss Sage asks her question for the giveaway? I'll open up that real quick. Anything you want to add, Miss Sage?
Well, I was just hoping somebody had one takeaway from everything they heard, or anybody want to say anything, because we really want you to engage.
Even if it's just a comment, even if it's just...
It's kind of difficult because I can't see who's in the room, but Whitney can, and I also like face-to-face presentations. So this is a big new norm for me.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it. So we do have, I'll just reiterate who we have in the room for you, Miss Sage. We have Miss Erica Bearmore, Dana Parker, Miss, I think it's Eileen McFall. We have Pascal, who's doing on YouTube, as well as Brandy Spencer, Miss Bethany Ely, and Miss Tanya Ely in the room. So we have several people in the room today.
Okay, and so I would like to know, is there any comment? No more comments?
No comment, really. Miss Erica just wanted to say it was a great workshop. We appreciate you, Miss Erica, for tuning in. Mr.
Yeah.
Anna just said thank you. Another comment just saying thank you. So I think they don't, seems like no really comments or feedback aside from thank
Okay,
you.
I'm gonna make this an easy question, but it's a 3-part question. So we know that Dr. Bobby Banks has a campaign. The campaign is hashtag nah, right? What does nah stand for? And she talked about, this is a little bit of a hint, 2 types of hosts. So I want the answer to what does nah stand for and what are the 2 types of hosts that you do not want to be.
So the person that answers has to get both of them right in order to get it.
Yes,
Okay. So we'll give you time. If you want to say it one more time, just to.
it's a 2-part question. I was gonna make it 3-part, but that'd be too complicated. It's a 2-part question. So we know that hashtag nah is actually the campaign by Dr. Bobby Banks. What does nah stand for? Nah, what is the acronym, right? And then the second part is, what are the 2 types of hosts that she describes that you don't want to be? It's easy question, but
I think Brandy answered it first on Facebook, so she did it in 2 parts. So okay, so here's how it goes. So she said not a host in her first answer, and then she came back and said, "Come to my house." And is that the second part?
and you carrying the virus and don't know it. That's the second part, but that's only one type of host. She
Okay.
mentioned 2 types.
Okay, so I have a response from also to that Erica also said not a host for that.
Mm-hmm. And
Bethany,
there's 2 types of hosts.
she didn't put them yet. Then I have Bethany. Is that the whole?
Not a host, hosting events, and she's saying asymptomatic. So
I have that's not. I think Miss Erica answered it. I think so. Let's see. So Erica already said that it's not a host with the acronym. So Bethany didn't get it completely right either.
she got it right because she put hosting events. That's one type of host,
So
and the other host is carrier and asymptomatic. So
okay.
I think
Erica.
okay.
I'm asking. I think because if you're saying the answer, host an event.
I think Bethany had it in there first because she did put host and asymptomatic. But I think Erica's is more accurate because it's carrier and asymptomatic. That's the kind of host. And then the other kind of host is, so I would say Erica has it right. Because she put not a host inviting people. That was her first answer, right?
No, Erica put not a host. She did it in 2 parts. And
Okay.
then Bethany after her and put not a host, hosting events asymptomatic. And then Erica put her second the follow-up response as this. So you just tell me.
I think that it's Bethany only because Erica put carrier and asymptomatic instead of not a host is the acronym.
Oh,
And not hosting an event is the second.
No, she put not a host. She put it in 2 parts. So she put not a host as the first part of the question, and then she put carrier asymptomatic, and Bethany put not a host, hosting event asymptomatic.
So I think Bethany has the answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Okie doke.
All right. So did anybody take our challenge on as far as putting their name in there if we did something outside the box and actually had some expertise around vaccination hesitancy? Is there anybody who would be a taker for that in this group? Because then you could pass the word out to your friends and family, and we can have even more people come to that, apart from what we do monthly. I'm
And
asking.
if you don't know, you can always just email me later if you're interested. Or you can always comment back on this live after it ends and say that you're interested, and that's fine.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, and congrats, Bethany. I'll be in contact with you. And thank you all for attending. We will let you know next month when our the date and time of our next workshop.
And the topic will be relationships. It is February, and we'll be talking about all types of relationships because a lot of relationships and the dynamics changed a lot in 2020 due to COVID. Okay.
All right, guys. Have a great day. We will be in contact with you next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.